So today is my Portsmouth Clinic day. So this is the day of the week when I leave the Isle of Wight, hop across on the ferry and come and visit families here in Portsmouth. So it means that I have to travel pretty light. And whilst I'm not a fan of a wheelie suitcase generally, I'd rather carry stuff on my back. When you're carrying a full set of toys and resources and games and activities to see all different sorts of children with different communication needs, a wheelie suitcase is a useful thing. But it's still necessary to pack light, and so I really like to pack things that can be as flexible as possible. Toys that I can use for a variety of purposes with different communication goals in mind. And so I thought I would share with you some of my favourite toys that can be flexible to support communication. But first, I need to get the room ready. It doesn't take long to unpack when you only have one bag full of resources. So let me share with you a little bit of what I've got. So you might have noticed that I have a lot of things in boxes. So whatever activity or picture cards or target words we're looking at, I will tend to put it in a box because there's always the excitement of a big reveal. Dinosaurs. And also it creates a little bit of resistance. It almost creates a situation where a child has to work to communicate and request something. And for lots of my early communicators, learning to ask for something rather than just kind of dive in and try to do it for themselves is a big part of their early communication goals. So I have a variety of things in boxes. You might have noticed that even my puzzle is in a zip bag. So we've got that whole extra opportunity to practice requesting open, and also we've got that great sound zzz, which we can practice. In this well-loved, well-used box, I have a variety of fun little popping toys, punching frogs, and stretchy things. So all of these are attention grabbers. What I like about lots of these is that they're actually quite difficult for a child to do themselves, so they have to learn to communicate and request these things. Pop. This box also has a posting lid. Have you made a posting box with your child? It's amazing how appealing a little posting box is. So that's another thing that we can do. In another one of our boxes, we have a variety of sound cards, so we can practice making these sounds like B and posting them in. I'm actually going to be using my puzzle pieces to stick some sounds on the back so that as we fill in our puzzle, we can practice some of our target sounds. So behind me, I have some little sound pictures, and we can chop these up and stick them on our puzzle pieces. With this age group, so much of it is about secretly wedging in a specific target within free play. So it's so important to be child-led at this age that it means that we have to be quite flexible and creative ourselves as grown-ups to help them to practice something that might appear a bit dull if we weren't trying to find a way to fit it into something that a child's really interested in. Hence, practicing things that make it a little bit more exciting, like the big reveal of a box, or adding in something as dry as a sound target and sticking it on a favourite puzzle. This little turn-taking game, Wiggly Worms, is also a really useful one for practicing something repeatedly. And of course, all of the pieces are hidden in a box, and so I can dole them out and we can practice adding them in. Or whatever your target sound is, etc. The child that is about to come through my door is working on some early sounds, and so I'm going to set up the room and use some of the varied toys that I've got to think about how we can work on making a p sound, so using lots of our lip movements. So some of the things that are going to be really useful for that are opportunities for us to play boo. These guys can say boo, and we can do our fish sound. We've got some bouncing balls, and also a bit of fabric for playing boo. time for a bit of coffee before my next appointment. I have a little bit of time, and sometimes I write up my notes in this time, and other times I just take a breath, gather myself, ready to kind of shift gears and think about the next child I'm seeing. One final toy that I'd like to share with you before I get some fresh air. Nesting barrels. Have you come across these? I think they're a bit of a 1970s classic actually. And what I find so great about these is I can use them with all ages, from very littlies to even my late primary school children. So they're just like Matryoshka dolls, Russian dolls, but barrels instead of dolls. And what's cool about them is that they are difficult enough that children have to ask for some help initially. They make a cool sound if you snap them. Okay, for some children that's a cool sound, and then we have the excuse to practice open and snap when they snap shut. And sometimes I can hide different things in each barrel, so I might hide something in each barrel so that we can practice naming some things with the excitement of opening up. Other times I might just use one as a cup. So if an older child is practicing a particular sound in conversation, then every time they get that sound right, I might pop a counter in the pot. So this is that kind of really useful toy or resource that I like to have for a variety of ages, especially when I have only one bag and I'm seeing lots of children. Okay, that's my appointments done for today. So now I'm off to get a bit of fresh air and take that ferry home. That's one little bag for my day of appointments, and I think my top 3 suggestions for flexible, can do anything therapy ideas or toys to encourage communication would be containers, boxes, bags, nesting barrels that you can do all sorts of things with, counters like the little worms in my Wiggly Worms game. You can do so many things with counters, and finally a variety of fabrics that are sheer or shiny or noisy. All of those you can do all sorts of things with as well. But let me know, what would you use? What are your favorite go-to toys that your child just loves that you can play with in all sorts of different ways? It's all about being flexible, which is a challenge for us grown-ups sometimes, so let me know. And I'll see you next week.